Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'm your host for today. The Real Estate Marketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The Real Estate Marketing Podcast is a podcast that has two purposes. Purpose number one, to educate and inform our audience and listeners. Purpose number two, Dax, to spotlight you, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. With that, we have a very special guest, Dax Ferguson. Dax Ferguson's life is anything but ordinary. With 9 energetic boys at home, he thrives in a bustling environment. Surprisingly, Dax's favorite aspect of his job as the CEO of Heritage Construction and Consulting Services isn't the peace and quiet of his office. It's the camaraderie he finds while meeting with clients. He is particularly passionate about assisting those in restoration of after facing disasters, finding genuine fulfillment and helping others. Despite his busy schedule, Dax still makes time to bring his wife Brandy her coffee every single morning, a small gesture that speaks volumes about his character. Join us as we dive into this episode where Dax is going to enlighten us on how we can get involved and learn all about some multifamily marketing. Dax, I'm excited that you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. So we were talking a little bit in behind the scenes, talking in the room, and I want to hear your story. Like, what got you into real estate? You said something that I always find interesting is you came from single family and then you transitioned over to multifamily. So tell us in your own words, your story on how you went and made that transition.
Yeah, so I started Heritage in 2011. After my dad passed away, I was looking for something new to do. And so I started Heritage and really focused mainly in disasters. So if a house had burned, if a house had flooded, something of that nature, and helping homeowners battle through that time. It was, if you've ever gone through a fire, if you've ever gone through a flood, you feel like you lose everything, but really it's only physical things. And so as much as I was helping them on the construction side, I was helping them emotionally, right? Walk through the damaging of losing everything that they thought was important to them. Most of the time, and in fact, I never, fortunately, ever worked with somebody who lost somebody through those disasters. So that was great. But rebuilding their life and making it better, right? So as everything was torn down around them, you rebuild their house and you put it all back together, and it's a better environment than it was before. So it really was fulfilling to me to help these people in putting their lives back together. So that transitions, right? So it became that, then it became going into homes and remodeling the homes, non-disaster, just, hey, let's make their place better. Let's make their lives better. And being creative for not just them and how they operate in their home, but maybe their kids, right? So let's add something in for the kids and creating different environments that made it better. And so went from that, and as a business owner, right, going from that to how do I scale my business? Because there's only one of me, right? And as many project managers as you have to fulfill your desires and to cast vision, it was not scalable to an extent to where I could grow the business. So I dabbled a little bit in multifamily during this time, and I was like, well, I can scale it. I can go to the same place every day, right? So I can go multifamily. I can go to one apartment building that burned, and I can help all these families, right? Or I can help this owner who had this great loss. And how do I make their life better? And what can I do to do that? And so I decided that in end of 2015, I decided to go to multifamily exclusively. And so in that transition, man, I've met some great people and learned more about the business of multifamily and the business of real estate, right? So I came from, man, I'm just a contractor, swinging hammers, doing whatever, to learning the business side of multifamily. And that's really where I've transitioned from 15 to where I am today, where I speak at events and talk to people about creating community and community, right? So in an apartment community, there's the apartment community, but if there's no community environment or area in that apartment complex, you're not creating the stickiness factor. to keep those people there. And so that's learning what the importance of that is, the less turnover you have in your property, how creating those environments affect you raising rents, right? So the story I give all the time is, you have Sally and Joanne that live next door to each other, and Sally's a single mom just trying to make it, and Joanne is a married lady that has a couple of kids. She may be a stay-at-home mom, and they're living two different lives. Sally's trying to make it, but she needs help because she can't make enough money when the rent increases. And so, Joanne goes, "Hey, I'll watch your kid after hours so that you can stay a little later. You can make a little extra money." But they wouldn't have ever known each other if the community in that community was never developed. And so creating these communal areas in properties like pergolas, playgrounds, gathering areas, different places where your community comes outside of those doors and into the community so that they get to learn and know each other is very key in the success of apartments. So that's kind of where my heart's gone today, to teach people how to drive the business that way. Sorry, that was a long answer, but there you go.
No, we appreciate it. As long as it's authentic, we don't care how long it is. So here is, like I have some questions stacked up, and you might have talked about this already, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. There's like, you started your business and you started it to solve a problem. So the question I usually pose is like, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your role, and what are you doing to tackle it? So I pose that question, like, what is the biggest problem that you see? And what are you doing to address and tackle that problem? And it might be what you just said. So tell me what your perspective is.
So part of that, right, as the multifamily, as many people know, that interest rates have driven the multifamily crazy this year, right? And so a lot of people are struggling with keeping occupancy up and doing the renovations that they have to do. And so what we did, we developed a program, what we call our in-house or in-place rehab. And what it is everything we can do in a unit while it's occupied, right? So the tenant doesn't have to leave. You don't have to get a vacancy to be able to do a rehab. So you can do pretty much everything except flooring and paint. So you can change your countertops, you can change their lighting fixtures, you can change their door hardware, you can do water conservation there, you can change their blinds. You can do all of these things, change their appliances. That's another one, a big one that we do. All these things that make that unit more appealing to the people that live there. It takes care of their problems. Their problems are maybe their toilet's not running correctly. Maybe their appliances are breaking down. Whatever that is, you're fixing a problem for them, and you're not charging them necessarily today, but when the rent renews, you can increase the rent and still hit your pro forma and never have to vacate that unit, which obviously is good for cash flow. So that's one of the biggest problems we're seeing is they can't afford their pro forma or their mortgage that they're paying today, can't afford to lose a tenant for 30 days. So how do you solve that problem? So that's one of the main reasons that we came in and created that program. And really it came in COVID time because people weren't leaving, right? They weren't evicted and they weren't doing that, but they still had to hit these demands from the lenders. And so that's one of the problems we created, or solutions we created for the problem.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I want to move on to the next question, Dax. Tell us, on this journey, like where you got to, like tell us a story or tell us something that you didn't expect to happen and what you did to resolve that and how it's relevant to what we're discussing today.
So I would say I'm an emotional person. So in this business, I did it for business reasons and found that it was more rewarding to do some of these things for the communities because you're changing the lives of these kids, right? So where you're like, hey, well, do this, it's going to make it better return for you. You're going to do this, and it's going to, you'll make more money here. But I didn't think about the long-term ramifications of, hey, if we do this, and random example, we're putting a fence around the property, right? And it's creating a safer environment or more relaxing environment for the parents to think, my kids are safer. I don't have to worry about all this external stress in my life, and I'm making it a safer place for these families to live. And to see the reward of coming into a community where the kids are fearful to play outside, to finding the kids freely playing outside by the time you finish is so rewarding for me to walk into a community once we're done and seeing kids run around and be knuckleheads, because that's what they all are, and finding you've changed not only for the owner because he's got now a community that's thriving, but you really have changed the hearts of those families and made it a better place for those families to live.
Excellent. Thank you. So in all of that, like you mentioned, you were like an emotional person. So that leads me to like the next question. What do you think, like, to be successful in your position in your business, like, what do you think is like the most important personality trait or strength that someone should have to achieve success?
If you do things just for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You've got to create something that is there to solve a problem. I've gone in properties where there's lots of gangs, lots of guns, lots of drugs, and trying to help. You either help the people out of it or you help the property out of it, right? So you're helping the people maybe create a safer environment for where they're at. You're helping the property get rid of some of the problems that are there because you see more than they do because you're in these units. You see more of it, which creates a safer deal. But really, just helping the people creates a business where it draws more people to you as a business owner to do more jobs for them. So
Okay.
that's what I've found be more of a strength there.
All right. So I appreciate your perspective. I never thought about that. You said helping the people out versus helping the property out. And, is there a difference between the two? And could you talk about it if there is?
Sure, I can go into a unit and I can change the floors, I can paint it, I can change the countertops, I can make this place look beautiful. And then they can get a tenant in there that doesn't care about what's been done and they just trash it, right? So I've helped the property because I've made it better. But if the people don't buy into what you're doing there, you haven't solved the problem. You've only helped the property. If you go in and you create a vision and you create community events, you do hot dogs outside, movie nights outside by the pool or in the common area by the playground, you bring the fire trucks in so the kids can climb around it and get more, close with the fire department. You do educational things like, what's the number one cause of apartment fire? Grease fire. That's the number one, right? So how do you put out a grease fire? Well, some people know, some people don't. And if you teach people how to put it out properly, your loss on your fires are going to go down drastically because people are going to know what to do. They're not going to make the mistakes. They're not going to throw water on it, right? If you teach the community and bring in the Red Cross, who will do a CPR class for your teenagers, and I'm going to say teenager girls. It's just typically that who babysits, right? You teach them CPR. Now you have teenage girls and boys, but mostly girls, educated with CPR, so they're more valuable to the community as they go out. They can help people. So if there's somebody in distress, they know that the teenagers on this property have a gift, and the gift is they know CPR and they can help people. There's those community events that people forget about. Again, it's creating this community and bringing it in front of them, creating events to make them feel valued, that they're part of something bigger than just living in that apartment complex.
Excellent. Thank you. So my next question is around productivity. Like I like productivity hacks, but I think you already did one. So I'm trying to make it relevant, right? One of your productivity hacks from what I see is you went from single family, like how can I go from helping one family at a time to multiple families at a time? So I want to hear your perspective on thinking, scaling, and going bigger. Like give us some productivity hacks on how we can, impact and influence more people at once.
Yeah. So what I did is, in scaling my business, I was in Dallas, Fort Worth. That's where our home office is, and I scaled to Texas, and that was pretty easy for me because Texas, although it's big, we were typically driving within 5 hours. My first hack was going to Atlanta, and first big job. This is shit. I can't even remember what year it was, 16 or 17. We went to Atlanta for the first time. We did about 8 projects out there. and how we grew our business to there, and then going into Tennessee and a lot of the Southeast Sunbelt state. What we did is we grew our team with us, right? So how we work today is our team travels with us and they stay on site. So I have anywhere from 300 to 500 guys in the field. They work for us. They stay on site. They're working on the property 6 days a week. They take off Sunday for a day of rest, and they live on site where all of our equipment is, all the material is. So they're watching that for security, but they are infiltrating into that community and being a part of that and saying, hey, we're here to help you guys. We're here to get better. And so they're getting all this work done. But one of the great things that does, it creates speed on our projects. So my guys aren't having to travel an hour or more to the job site every day to and from. Our materials there, everything's there, so that the speed is much faster. So we can turn on every project we're on 30 units or more a month. So you think about the speed of that. So you're doing, you have a 200 unit property, and let's say it's really bad when you get it and it has 100 vacant, it's 50% occupied. We can take that 100 units and we're complete with it in 120 days. Where
Excellent.
typically most property management companies or other, I'm not saying I'm the only one doing this, I'm not, but most other companies are turning about 10 a month on average. And so if you turn 10 a month to create that 100, it'll take you 10 months. However, in that same time, you're having more come offline, right? And so you're having more vacancies happen every month. So the run rate on that is about 14 months to do that, where we're done in less than 4. And so how that helps you is it gets to your pro forma faster. So you have all these units that you can lease out as fast as possible. And then now you're hitting your pro forma rents. Typically that's a year 2 pro forma that we're hitting in less than 12 months.
Excellent. Dax, tell us about one of your key mentors along your professional journey.
Well, it's been interesting because I have a business partner that when we partnered with him, I started in 11 and he came on in 2012. Great business mind. Really took a lot of fear out of my mind, in the sense that he was challenging me to take risks and challenging me to take risk. And he was like, what's your fear behind this? And he goes, if it's money that's your fear, let me take that burden off of you. Don't worry about that burden. Let's go for what you think is right. And so we would talk about it. And typically money wasn't the issue. It was just my own self-doubt got in the way. Right. And so one thing that he did for me that he doesn't even know how profound it was for me at the time, but he said, sit down and do me a favor. I said, okay, what's that? And he goes, get a piece of paper out, write 3 columns. Everything you're good at, or I'm sorry, everything you're great at, everything you're good at, and everything you suck at. I go, what do you mean? He goes, be honest with yourself. I want you to fill out those columns. And he said, and then come back to me in a week and we'll talk. And I'm like, all right, well, here we go. So we came back and he's like, what do you suck at? And I'm like, well, I suck at paperwork. I suck at organization. I do this and it consumes me because I just get distracted and try to go over here. And he goes, great, we're going to hire somebody to do all that. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, no. We're going to take everything you suck at because that's one person. And we're going to hire somebody to do that. Now I only want you to focus on everything you're good at and everything you're great at. And once we get this person implemented, then I'm going to take everything you're good at and we're going to hire people to do that. And then you're only going to focus on what you're great at. And once that happened, the transition with my business tripled and doubled every year for the next 6 years. So fear of the unknown, fear of not getting what you feel like you need to get is always the driver to keep us from growing. So having the mentor to push you, take away your burdens or whatever your thoughts are or self-doubt that comes to your head, removing those from you so that you can plow forward and be better. I would say that's probably the best mentor you can ask for. And that's what my business partner offered me back in the day.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. Could you talk about like something that jumps out a lot of people struggle with is like that self-doubt. So can you go through that process and help us like understand like a little bit deeper, like some of the things you were thinking and how pivotal it was to have that mentor, that business partner, that person in your ear to like, look, this is your potential and here's what we're going to do together to get rid of that so you can tap into your greatness.
So yeah, I'll give you an answer. So I'm a pretty good project manager. I can handle projects. I know how to do the construction process and do that. But um, uh, I would give myself a grade B, right, on a project manager because I'm not super efficient. I'm not, I can get it done. I know how to do it, and it will be done really well. But I'm not super efficient in getting it done. And there are people that thrive and just are super incredible at that. And I was like, well, I don't want the expense. And it doesn't matter what the expense is. It could be $5,000 a month, and we'll just use that for random. I don't want to take $5,000 out of our pocket to pay somebody to do something I can do. And when I realized that I could do twice as much if I paid somebody to do that for $5,000, it's worth the value of doing that. So stop doubting. If you're real with yourself, stop doubting that somebody's better than you, because you got to take ego out of it, right? There are better people in every position. Heck, there's better CEOs that could come in here and do a better job than I do. There's no doubt behind that. But what I'm saying is you're doubting yourself on saying, well, I can handle this. I'm not going to hire somebody else to do it, and understand you're not going to grow. So if that's fine, if that's how you want to be and you just don't want to grow, then you're going to be stuck there. And you're the self doubt of, I don't have enough money to do that. I don't see the benefit in doing that. When reality is, if you have strong people around you that are business minded people, they're going to point out your flaws, not because they want to point them out, but because they want to show you where you're weak and that you can grow. And that's what I was fortunate enough to have.
Thanks. And now I don't remember the numbers, but you said your business doubled for what, 6 years?
Yeah, so we doubled or tripled several years in a row. I was super proud of that. Uh, and then COVID happened, and we're kind of where we are today. But we're still doing great. Don't get me wrong. But
Excellent. Yeah. So
it
business doubled because of you, like you had that mentor and he's like, look, here's what we're going to do. And what I realized, he's like, look, we're going to hire and we're going to delegate. Can you take us through that process and help people understand in order to make your business grow, whether you're a real estate investor, syndication person, real estate agent, we have to get over ourselves somehow, some way, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a course we take, and then we have to start delegating and hiring. So can you take us through that process, how you went down that journey and what that was like for you?
Yeah, so after going through those steps, I'll just give you a few things. So putting all the finances and keeping your book straight, right? So you can't do it all yourself, and that was piece of it. And then organization of getting bids together and making them look clean and not on an Excel spreadsheet, right? So that was part of it. So making yourself look better. And so when I hired that first person, I hired them temporarily, like on a part-time basis, and grew into it and said, look, I think I need full time, but I only want to hire part time. But will you grow with us? And they're like, yeah, let's come in and do it. And so we grew, and that became full time with literally within 4 months. That person was full time. And then at that jump, we made the next one. Okay, so the things that you're just good at, we're going to hire that person now. And I'm like, but, and they're like, nope, we're going to do it. And so it was a push for me. And now it's like, hey, now you're not in the field all day. Now you can focus on sales, bringing more business in, networking with people, and talking to the customers, asking for the more business, asking for how we can help their friends. And so that's really kind of what popcorn this into. Just focus on that piece, because that's really what you're passionate about and what you really do. It's good that you're passionate about helping people, but if you explain the vision of helping people, it gives them the heart, and now they want to bring more people into it. And so if they can handle the back end, you can handle the front end, our life is great. And so that's really kind of what happened there for us.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to ask you a couple of personal questions, and then I would like to hear about like who's the ideal person that could work with you or, enter your company, hire you for your services. So the first personal question I have for you, tell us something that people misunderstand about you most.
Oh my goodness. Misunderstand about me most. That because I am soft and really care about people, that I really don't have a business knowledge of what's going on in the financial aspect. I understand the business of multifamily, and a lot of single family, more than I lead on, because I'm in construction. People don't ask those questions. But secondarily to that, I see so much junk that's done wrong, that I try to teach people not to overdo things in certain areas. Don't spend your money. I'm going to use this. Don't spend your money on granite or stainless appliances in that area. There's not a value there in doing that. Why don't you spend the money here? Because this is going to create more value for your property. Putting the community area up is going to create more value than a stainless over black appliances or whatever it is. And so, because I'm trying to help them out, I'm not just there to say, yes, whatever you want, I'll do. I will, but I'm going to challenge them on their thought process first. And so I try to help people in that manner.
Thank you for sharing that. So I have, I don't know, I've interviewed hundreds of people. I've talked to probably thousands of people in real estate. And you're only the second person that I've heard talk about the communal aspect of multifamily, right? I just had a guest on and he was talking about multifamily and he was talking about value add, but I never really hear people talk about like how to add value to the community by servicing the people like you just did. Like servicing the people, like they come in and say, oh, we're going to put that air conditioner there, we're going to paint those walls. But there's another value that you can bring by helping the people. And that like kind of grows exponentially from what I understand, because people can talk and bring in other people and they can do more stuff as opposed to, I don't know, you painting a wall that's static and it won't have like too
Right.
much influence. So could you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's the non-tangible though, right? So it's not going to generate more income for your property, but it's going to generate less turnover in your property, which in turn, long term, creates more revenue for your property. And so that's one thing that is key there. But also, creating spaces of a safe space, or creating community events that bring things in. But yeah, all the different things that we do. I mean, I do. I really talk about so many different things in this business, because people ask me, "Well, have you done this before?" Well, no, I haven't, and probably here's why. And this is what I do here. Um, but the most valuable thing, and I'll tell you, it's all the way through, is creating communal spaces for people to gather so that they want to stay. And creating a safe environment helps create those. And you're not going to see it on your NOI. You're just not going to see it there. You just have to understand that if you're in this business for money only, you're not in it for the right reasons. Money comes when you create safety and a better environment for a better home for families. And I believe that that's where this industry needs. And it's in single family as well. I mean, as we all know it, there's neighborhoods that are dilapidated and run down, and people like, oh, good, I can go flip that house and turn it. But if you're just doing it to flip that house and turn it, you're not doing it to better the community. I think you're doing yourself a disservice. You're selling yourself short. You're not being a true uh, okay, American. Maybe we'll call it American. You're not being, true to who we were created to be. We are created to help others. We're created to be in community with one another. And if you're just creating something for an income, I don't know that it necessarily helps you.
Thank you for sharing that. So say I am a multifamily investor, I'm a real estate, like who is the ideal person to come to you? When should I come to you? When should I start that conversation where I can hire Dax for his services and, have his team come out? Like, tell me what that process looks like and who's the ideal person that can work with you.
Yeah, so if you're buying multifamily, and what I mean by multifamily is 30 units or more. Okay, so there's people are multifamily if they're in eight, or plus, but I'm going to say 30 units or more. We want to help you from when you're submitting your LOI to negotiating your due diligence period, kind of walking you through what our timeline is on that, which is very fast, and then helping you create your CapEx budget, and then helping you execute on that. Most of our jobs, I would say, are $500 to $1 million each. Doesn't have to be, just that's kind of where we're at today. So it's going to be larger scale properties, not typically 30, but for the due diligence side, man, I love to help people. I think everybody starts somewhere, right? And so I was actually having a conversation with somebody the other day, and he's like, look, I'm looking for 10 units. And I said, hey, listen, go find your 10 units. It's local, it's in the DFW area. I said, give me a call. I'm not too proud to get on my boots and go out there and walk it with you and say, hey, look for this, look for this, look for this. I'm good with that because I'm always wanting to help people, because today he's buying 10. In 2 years, he's buying 200, right? And so call me, ask me questions. I feel that I'm pretty open for a conversation on anything when it comes to my world of what I know and my expertise of multifamily construction and things that are working and things that aren't working in it. So, call me, let me know, let me see if I can help you. But due diligence, 30 and up. Construction, I would say it's probably going to be more 60 or more units. And then we'll work with your lender on your budgets, where that money's going to go and how it can be accessed versus, I think I want to spend $10,000 a unit and I don't know where I'm going to spend that money. So we help dial that in, and then we help execute your plan.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. If someone was looking to add value to you personally or to your business, and it was like something that you can get value like right away, what would that be? What would that look like for you?
So, adding value to me, I am a lifelong student. I never know everything, so I'm always learning from everybody, and that's something I also really am always trying to learn from everybody around, because there's new things that are to be learned every day. So if anybody has any helpful tips of what they're doing and what they think is working in the industry, I love to know and have conversations and sip coffee and talk about it. Um, for my business, I mean, bring business to me. Let me help you out. Let me show you how I can help you in that manner. And that's what I'm always looking for. I'm looking for my next partnership. And what I mean by partnership is I'm not looking for one job. I'm looking for the next 5. And so one person's going to bring me their next 5 deals, and we partner together. They know how we work. We know how they work. And I'm in it for the long term. So that's kind of what I look for.
Excellent. So you answered the next question naturally. I was going to ask, how can they bring long-term value? And the way you do that is you bring a partnership. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I have a colleague, his name is George. And part of the reason why I like to bring people here is because I'm thinking about ways I can add value to them as well. And I have George, he runs a networking event every Wednesday at 12 p.m. And there's a bunch of multifamily syndication commercial people there. And when we go offline, I would be happy to get you a link so you can pop in, or you can send someone from your team to pop in there and have that meeting. It's a virtual meeting every Wednesday at 12, and people just pop in, talk and discuss multifamily, probably more podcast hosts on there for you. So I'll offer you that towards the end.
Perfect.
Dax, this has been excellent. How can we find out more about you online?
Yep. So you go, unfortunately or fortunately, I guess we're redeveloping our website right now, and our marketing efforts are increasing. So heritageccs.com. I still like to receive text messages and emails. So, my cell number, I give it out. It's 469-261-1190. Reach out to me, text me, call me, say, hey, want to catch up with you and ask you some questions. And I'm open to do that at any time. So
Okay.
please do so.
All right, excellent. And Dax, if you could close us out with one word, no explanation, what word would that be?
Ooh, that's a tricky one right there.
Isn't it? I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah. One word. I can't even say two words. So
Not two. Yeah. One word.
faith.
Faith. All right, Dax, I appreciate your time so much today. Thank you. I want you to sit here for another 5 minutes while I close us out. But thank you for your time today. I appreciate you beyond measure. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.